Right, hello again. I'll be talking several times this year, and I had the option of, I'm not going to do the same thing. So for the second talk, I'm going to talk about equal rights between men and women, which is an issue that I'd like to deal with in my pies, because there is a lot of potential for humor, and sometimes even good humor in this issue. In Article 3, Section 2 of the German Basic Law, the Constitution, it says that men and women have equal rights. The state supports the actual implementation of equal rights between men and women and works to do away with inequalities. And that makes me laugh, because there's still quite a lot of room for improvement here, isn't there? So I can think of several disadvantages that should be removed. For example, violence against women. We should start to name things, to actually say things as they are. So what women are afraid of: dark alleyways, forest paths, underground garages, unlit parks, and violent men. Here we go. It's basically all just violent men. Well, it's all violent men. And the probability that women will live beyond 30 years in the medieval, in Middle Age, in the Stone Age, and on German TV. Probability that women will get older than 30 years. And things regarding the connection between sexism and racism. When women's rights are an issue, when it is about equal pay, about childcare, about equal opportunities, and headscarves. And headscarves, of course, win by far. Where the existing disadvantages are very clear is when it comes to issues of money. Work for women is a thing. There's a lot of things that we can do wrong there. It's quite a hot issue. So what women have to justify themselves for: only kill children, just a career, children and career, no children and no career. Equal share for each of these. Very few women in Germany decide to just have a career, and that is shown in terms of pay, because women each month earn about 1,200 euro less per month than men, and there is an 18% pay gap. So what women deserve and what women receive is this chart. There's often doubt expressed about the gender pay gap by men often men that cannot go into parental leave because they earn so much more than their partners. No surprise there, because the women work less, right? I took a closer look and I discovered something. What women do that do not work, in quotes: cooking, cleaning, shopping, doing washing clothes, educating children, organizing the family, tidying, and not working, the very last and very tiny slice. If you talk about work, not just paid work, then women actually do more than men, and even more since the pandemic has started. So they're not working part-time, they're only paid part-time. And the big threat here is that women as individuals, but also for the whole society, if every fourth woman is financially dependent on their partner. So if they get divorced, they are facing poverty in old age. Every sixth woman above 65 is below the poverty threshold in Germany, and this is a rising share. And with inflation and rising prices, this is how it looks. Those that envy pensioners about their income, that is employees, independently working freelancers, and pensioners. Female pensioners, that is, that's the largest share. So there's more work and less pension for women. In no other industrialized country, the pension gap between men and women is as high as it is in Germany, and I find this shocking. Equal opportunities is a big issue in Germany still. There are some trenches that are opened up, and then nothing happens. So
what does it mean to be equal for women in the economy? Equal opportunity, equal pay, or can you write the notes for the meeting? A pun on the German equal, meaning also immediately. It's obviously an old thing that diversity is an old thing, and that it is positive for both the society as a whole, but also onto the economic output of the economy. So there's benefit in having diversity, and it's important. We have a shortage of qualified workers, of skilled workers, and diversity helps get more revenue. It improves the image of the company. It makes them more creative. But we have a domination of the roles by men, and obviously the current situation is not ideal. We have diversity in company boards in Germany. The diversity is men with blue ties, with red ties, with green ties, with gray ties, with yellow ties, and with black ties. So definitely something happened over the last few years. Someone has learned a little bit that there are women and that we need them, and that we need to give them some advancement, a leg up maybe. But then some people started complaining that as a guy it's hard to get a job now. And the problem is that if a woman is taking a very qualified position, that takes the spot of a man. So this is the board of the German, the largest German companies on the stock exchange, and the times where women, how many women are in the board, and this shows you women are the blue and men are those that made it through, even despite being disadvantaged against. And people are always talking about having a quota for women in boards. And this is unfair because obviously it should be about competency and not about external things like the sex or gender. So how do you call people who are disadvantaged because of their sex? And we call them quota women, which is like a derogative term for women only getting a position because of a quota, or men. And something that we need to consider when we're talking about this quota discussion is that it's always about women who are already being very advantaged, because we're always talking about these very qualified positions. And this is also what you can see in the pies that I'm drawing for the very current debates. I think it's important to have a parenthetical distribution of power and of money. But with all these discussions about equity and equality, we need to abstract away from the background that these women have. And we need to look at the society as a whole if we can't find a better solution. And I think the answer is yes. But we need to start with lower demands. We cannot accept the system as it is, because that means that people need to actually work for a living in order to have a decent pension. And as long as women do a lot of the unpaid work, like caring for children and elderly, they're always disadvantaged. And if you need them to actually work within the industry in order to have a pension, then we need to make it certain that the care work can be done parallel to a job. So the question is, how can you do both a job and a family in Germany especially well? And it means if you either don't have a job or you don't have a family. And this is not a surprise it's not a surprise that a lot of women decide for both a job and a family, and I can tell you what they lack in order to be just as successful in their career. They're not lacking in any energy, initiative, confidence. They just need childcare that takes them off their hands.
And I've noticed that men have children too. The Office for Statistics sees it that way, but employers don't really. So there are these two charts here saying that employers see women as those who have children. And in my third part, this is going to be about development and regarding equal rights between the sexes. There was a kind of a backlash, or we're sliding back through the pandemic. About a quarter of women have reduced their paid work time. They've spent more time on parental leave. They've neglected their further qualifications more than men have. And the Bertelsmann Foundation has talked about a structurally determined change in the work conditions. We have to stop telling women that they have chosen their own work conditions. People don't choose work conditions because of bad pay. Women are offered worse conditions. And we have a structural problem in Germany, and the state has to deal with it according to the basic law, the constitution, because the solutions for individuals are quite limited, which I'm showing here, how structural problems can be solved. The chart says by not making a fuss, by not complaining, by showing goodwill, by being able to laugh about it, by taking more responsibility, by struggling more, and it's a zero value on this chart for each individual option. Thank you.